Hello and welcome to Football Daily, where today we're bringing you 10 clubs that ceased to exist. 10. KSV Waregem. KSV Waregem were a Belgian side that existed for 76 years until 2001 and were regulars in the Belgian top flight from 1966 to 1996 with the exception of just 2 seasons. The club never managed to win the league, but they did win the 74 Domestic Cup and were also runners-up in the competition in 1982, going on to beat Standard in the Super Cup shortly after. Their biggest claim to fame though came in the 1985-86 UEFA Cup. Waregem beat clubs like Osasuna, Milan and Hajduk Split to reach the semi-finals of the competition before crashing out to FC Köln, losing 7-3 on aggregate. Fortunes didn't get much better though, and they ended up in the 3rd division by 1999. Finally, financial difficulties led the side to merge with Zulza to form current top-flight outfit SV Zulte Waregem. 9. FC Amsterdam. It's baffling that a capital city like Amsterdam doesn't have more than one competitive club, but in the 1970s there was a genuine contender to Ajax, and that was FC Amsterdam. The club themselves were formed by a merger of 3 clubs, including Blauw-Wit, DWS and Vollewijkers. Much like Waregem, FC Amsterdam had their brief moment in the spotlight in the UEFA Cup, where they managed to reach the quarters. In the 74-75 season, the Dutch side toppled Inter Milan in the 2nd round, winning 2-1 on aggregate. Once again though, it was that pesky side from Köln who crushed Amsterdam's dreams, smashing them 8-3 on aggregate. FC Amsterdam got relegated in 1978, and as their average attendance was in decline, the club eventually dissolved. 8. Los Angeles Aztecs. Much like the North American Soccer League itself, the Los Angeles Aztecs disappeared from the football scene as quickly as they came onto it. The NASL was a bankrolled competition with the aim of helping football become one of America's largest sports. To do this, many clubs had some of football's greatest players a little past their peak, much like the MLS now. But the LA Aztecs in particular were the Western version of the NY Cosmos, as they brought in the likes of George Best, Johan Cruyff, and legendary manager Rinus Michels. In the Aztecs' first season in 1974, they managed to win the NASL by beating Miami Toros, but they failed to get past the semis of the playoffs after their triumph. Co-owned by Elton John, the club's average attendance was around 12,000, but like 6 other NASL teams, the Aztecs went bankrupt, and they dissolved in 1982. 7. Dalian Shide. With the amount of money being pumped into Chinese football at the minute, it's hard to imagine any club ceasing to exist. But back in 2013, China's most successful team had a dramatic and bloody fall from grace. Dalian Shide won the top flight 4 times before billionaire Zhu Ming took over, and though his close acquaintances say that Ming had no footballing knowledge whatsoever, they continued to dominate Chinese football, winning 3 more titles on the bounce whilst also picking up a Chinese FA Cup. Zhu Ming began to slow down investment in the club, funding his political friend Bo Xilai instead, who was the mayor of Dalian and a high rank in the Communist Party. Bo's wife was imprisoned for the murder of a British businessman, and after being investigated, Bo and Zhu were charged with corruption, as it turned out the politician had been receiving bribes of around £3 million from the Dalian Shide owner. The club itself was supposed to merge with the Airbin Group, who formed their own club Dalian Airbin, but the Chinese FA refused. The Airbin Group eventually purchased Dalian Shide and swallowed the club, causing the death of the side, a similar fate to that suffered by negligent chairman Zhu Ming, who died of a heart attack in prison at the age of 44. 6. Wimbledon. The Dons were an infamous football club, with their most impressive feat being an FA Cup win in 1988 as a Division 1 side. Vinnie Jones, Fashanu, Laurie Sanchez, the club was full of complete head cases, and they were the team that everyone loved to hate until they were relocated in 2004. The side from South London was in the Premier League for its formation and stayed in the top flight until the millennium, when they went on a complete downward spiral. They got relegated in 2000, and the board decided to take the club to Milton Keynes 2 years later. With the owners ignoring the fans and the team in decline, supporters started their own club, AFC Wimbledon, and climbed their way up the footballing ladder to League 2. At the end of the 03-04 season though, Wimbledon completed their relocation and rebranded themselves MK Dons, renouncing the club's history but still using their old nickname. 5. SV Austria Salzburg. A victim of the corporate soul-destroying machine that is Red Bull, Austria Salzburg had actually previously changed their name for a sponsor. But before they got involved with lucrative deals, the club was pretty successful given their size, reaching the UEFA Cup first round but getting knocked out by Romanian side UTA Arad. Before becoming Red Bull Salzburg, they were called SV Casino Salzburg, and in 1997 changed to SV Wüstenrot Salzburg after a financial services company. The club won the Austrian title in '94 and reached the UEFA Cup final that same season. In the final, they lost 2-0 on aggregate over the two legs, and in 2005 they succumbed to the Red Bull branding. On takeover, the board changed the name, the logo, the management and the staff in a total rehaul. The directors claimed the club was brand new with no preceding history, and even had the cheek to put the club foundation date as 2005 on their website, which they were ordered to remove by the Austrian FA. Since the takeover, they've won 7 titles and 4 Austrian Cups, proving money does indeed buy success. 4. Amica Vrankie. Polish side Amica Vrankie still linger on as part of a merger with Lech Poznan, but the team from Vrankie was a prominent feature in the UEFA Cup, appearing 4 times in the competition in the 8 years before they shut up shop. Like many on this list, Amica Vrankie was the result of a merger itself and was only founded in 1992, with the name Amica coming from an appliance company. Despite a short-lived tenure, they won the Polish Cup 3 times on the bounce and also won the resulting Super Cup twice. Once the side merged with Lech Poznan, a Phoenix club emerged named Błękitni Wronki, which still languishes in the lower tiers of the Polish league. 3. Rangers. To Chris Hamill's delight and Rangers fans' dismay, the Gers find themselves on this list. Rangers have an incredibly successful history, winning 54 First Division titles, the most of any team in Europe. Rangers were also the first British side to reach a UEFA-sanctioned European final, but found themselves in complete disarray when the club was placed in administration in 2012. After being docked points and finishing 20 points behind Celtic, the snowball kept tumbling, and they entered liquidation in June 2012. RFC 2012 plc was sold to a new company named Sevco Scotland Limited, which was then later renamed the Rangers Football Club Limited. The SFA did allow the transfer of Rangers membership under the conditions of a 1-year transfer ban, and Rangers have returned to the Scottish Premiership as of 2016. Whether they're a club that truly ceased to exist is questionable, but that certainly won't stop Celtic fans taking the piss out of their neighbourhood rivals for it. 2. Dukla Prague. Dukla Prague was one of the most successful sides in Czechoslovakia, winning the top flight 11 times as well as the Czechoslovak Cup on 8 occasions. They were also the first team to win the domestic cup, and by doing so became the first team in the country to win the double. The Prague side became Slovakia's pride in Europe, as Dukla reached the European Cup semi-final in 66-67, losing 3-1 on aggregate to eventual winners Celtic. They also managed to reach the semis of the Cup Winners' Cup in 85-86, and even had a Ballon d'Or winner in their 48-year history. The man who won the Golden Ball was Josef Mazopust, who was part of the Czechoslovakia side that finished runners-up in the 1962 World Cup, a team which also contained 6 other Dukla Prague players. It wasn't a happy ending for Dukla though, as they fell to the 3rd division before becoming FK Przybram as part of a merger in 1996. 1. Parma. Italian club Parma has been reformed an astonishing 5 times, but it was its most recent bankruptcy that made shit really hit the fan in northern Italy. After the club had won 2 UEFA Cups in one of its most successful periods back in 2004, they were in financial ruin, but managed to stay afloat in Serie A thanks to a relegation tiebreaker win over Bologna. And the club looked to be on the rise once again under the leadership of Donadoni in 2014, who guided them to 6th place, qualifying Parma for Europe once again. But they were barred from entry due to late payment of income tax, and to add insult to injury, they were docked points in the next season's Serie A competition. As a result, they finished rock bottom and were lucky to finish the season due to money laundering issues with their chairman and liabilities totaling €218 million. Not to be disheartened, the club started again in Serie D with their support still strong as ever, selling over 9,000 season tickets in their first season and doubling the previous Serie D record.
So there we have it, but what do you guys at home think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, why don't you click here for loads more great content and down there to subscribe. And as always guys, we'll catch you later.